Hello, AP Psychology students, and welcome to Section 3 of Social and Cultural Psychology. We're going to be looking at individuals and groups. So how individuals behave in groups, and there are a lot of different dynamics going on within a group. The actions we take in a group may depend less on your own personality, your own personal desires, your own viewpoint, more than the structure and dynamics of the group itself. So it is kind of interesting to get into, especially when we start looking at conformity. Groups kind of conform to each other and tend to say the same things, have the same gestures, same laughs, and things like that. And so people in groups tend to conform. Solomon studied the study about matching lines. So that basically they had which line was matching, and there was two lines that were obviously matching, and then one that wasn't. But they planted actors to go up there and pick the wrong one purposely to see if people would conform and follow. And 1/3 of the group picked the wrong answer over half the time just to conform. Just they felt like, well, they picked it, I should do it too, even though they knew it was the wrong answer. And many of our psychology students over the years have redone that study. It's kind of funny how people would just kind of go with the flow, even if they like, wait, that's not right, but I don't want to look silly. Where do you get accents from? We in Colorado, we have kind of a very plain accent, although we drop our T's. We've talked about mountains is how we say it instead of mountains, or important instead of important. But some of you guys, maybe all across the country, y'all in the South, or you New Yorkers and all that, where do you get accents? It's not from your parents, it's from your peers, is actually where we get our accents. And then we have automatic mimicry. We do it. So if you like someone, you start doing the same gestures. You start saying the same things. You lean in and talk. And so there's a lot of things with body language. You can send the signal that you like someone. All you have to do is just kind of nod your head and not copy them. Don't be the annoying copy game. But you can actually move your hands and do the same gestures as somebody there, and they'll get the sense that you like them. And it's kind of interesting to do that. Conformity definitely has negative and positive sides as well. People get pressured to do things. This is where we get a lot of bullying and hazing and things like that. So it can have a dark side to it. And sometimes, maybe controversially in this country, can go too far with political correctness. We'll just kind of sidestep that landmine and look at South Park. If you want to be one of the nonconformists, all you have to do is dress like us and listen to the same music we do. This is from Brain Games. You might check that out. It's about how they have a computer, an AI program, and so people will like it. Basically, they'll like a different program more based on automatic mimicry. What I want to get to is how trends start. But I have the rainbow spinning wheel of death, so we're in trouble. Oh, mom's minivan, less conformist than the bus. So here, this is a very well done video about people joining a crowd.
Let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes, and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional, or with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers, because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement, not you. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is over-glorified. Yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in.
Pretty well done. We saw this last year. You guys have all witnessed what happened with the coronavirus, and it was, a couple schools closed, the Ivy League, some games were canceled, and then the NBA canceled the game. And then from there, it just snowballed, and suddenly, we were supposed to be gone for an extra week of spring break, and then we never came back for the semester, and everything shut down. And that was that movement, that momentum, that kind of you saw in that silly video. Thankfully, the camera was very poor quality and grainy. There were some interesting outfits in that video. So groupthink. Friendly groups work well together, but they have a tendency to think alike and suppress dissent. If you're not with us, you're against us. That kind of rule of absolutes, like the Sith. And so sometimes you get groupthink where they make poor decisions because nobody challenges each other. They all go, "Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds great. Whatever you think. You do a good job." And so there's no really getting to the core of, is this a good idea? This is a good thing to do. So there's this illusion of invulnerability because we're working together, but they all agree, so it doesn't really help. There's also self-censorship. Don't rock the boat. Don't challenge authority. Don't be these people that kind of make everything an argument, and then they feel like there's dissent in the team, and so there's pressure on the dissenters to conform. And there's this illusion of unanimity. Unanimous is what I'm trying to say, but that fancy word there. So some examples in history: the Bay of Pigs, with Kennedy kind of being bulldozed by the CIA and some of his advisors, Lyndon Johnson in Vietnam, the Challenger explosion, especially with what was going on in terms of NASA overlooking some of the problems, was kind of a big issue. We have a picture here of Lincoln with his cabinet, and he famously had a team of rivals. In fact, there's a book called Team of Rivals, in which he put people that purposely opposed him and challenged him so they could really get to the core of what they believed. They could really understand, because they had to defend their positions. This is what they believed, and so it pushed them to work harder during the Civil War. So the nature of the group is determined by the leader. Like I said, Lincoln was different. He had a team of rivals. George Washington did the same thing as well. And so he had a cabinet of men who disagreed with him. So if somebody's challenging you, sometimes that's a good thing. They're trying to make you believe what you really truly believe deeper and give reasons why, so you can come to more of an absolute idea of what's going on. So the anonymous crowd. When you're in a big crowd, there's a diffusion of responsibility. Responsibility of an outcome is diffused and spread among many people. So if you're in a big group, you just kind of blend in. And this really sadly, tragically happened with the Capitol riots on January 6th. A lot of people were there just probably protesting, having fun, holding their signs and waving their flags. And then, hey, we're all going in the Capitol. Yay, let's go take a picture in the Capitol. Probably a lot of those people did not have intent to go riot and burn the government down. They just wanted to take a selfie in the rotunda. And now they're facing criminal charges for trespassing because they thought, I'm a part of the crowd. This isn't me. I was just following. So the bystander effect, or the apathy effect. The more people that are present, the less likely somebody is going to help you out. With exceptions, if you break your leg around to the doctor, maybe you're going to be in a good spot. Social loafing. Team members slow down and let others work hard. You guys know how group work happens. It's kind of like, the hangover here. One guy does all the work. One guy has no idea what's going on. One guy says he's going to help, and then another guy just disappears. And then They don't know where he's at. You also have de-individuation, is where people in large crowds lose touch of who they are, and they kind of go with the flow. And this is really evident at concerts, which we used to do, sporting events. People say and do some weird things that they normally wouldn't do when they're a part of a crowd. This is a prime reason why across the world we have mob violence, you have riots and things like that, and things get out of hand. Sometimes people become more friendly in crowds. Actually, they become nicer. They did a study with women in KKK-like outfits. Um, they gave twice as much shock to other women. They didn't really shock them. It's kind of another little Milgram thing. So they put them in a Klan outfit, and that anonymity, and so they didn't have their sense of self, and so they just like, they don't know who I am. Women dressed as nurses gave less shocks, and so they almost took on the role of what they were wearing as well. They conformed to the norms of a specific situation. In college, it's that let's party attitude, or the movie I Am Spartacus, from the movie Spartacus, where they all claim to be Spartacus and they're all crucified by the Romans. Crowd norms can do good too. We have crowdsourcing, we have kickstarting, we have a lot of wonderful things that happen with nonviolent protests and things like that. So going further, we have altruism and dissent, which history is full of men and women who disobeyed. And disobeying is not always a bad thing, excuse me, not always a good thing either. And so civil disobedience, which is the foundation of our First Amendments here in the United States, really kind of started, in an essay form by Henry David Thoreau. Heroism is expected more from men in our society. If there's a burning building, men are more likely are expected to run into the building. That's kind of our old school way of thinking in terms of gender roles. Women are more likely to donate an organ or volunteer to serve in dangerous places than men. And so altruism is the willingness to take selfless or dangerous action on the behalf of others. And if you watch Friends, I can't show this because of wonderful copyright rules. Phoebe doesn't believe that there's any true altruism. It's always you want something for yourself, which is kind of sad. So in history, there's external influences that push people to dissent. The reason why people say, no, I'm done with this, is you perceive the need for intervention or for help. Action is necessary. This situation increases the likelihood that you will take responsibility. Cultural norms encourage you to take action. Our country does encourage you to stand up for what you believe in. Some places value helping others more than other countries. Collectivist nations really value helping each other out, whereas Americans sometimes can be a little more selfish because that's kind of how we're raised. The cost-benefit ratio supports your decision to get involved. People are less likely to take action if the risks are high. We don't want to lose everything. We don't want to get shot. But hey, if it just means we get a better pay, yeah, I'll go on strike. You have an ally, you have a follower, you have a buddy, the buddy system and all that stuff. And then also, sadly, when you become entrapped, when you have no other way out, when you have no hope, is when people would dissent. Once taking that first steps to get involved, people usually escalate their commitment and they don't go back. That's all I have for today. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll get into that next section a little bit later.